your head in your hands.
Pocketful, George.
Yes.
This is the last song.
Last, but by no means least.
No, this is well, I wanted to ask why the last. Obviously, it's a lovely tribute to the parents. It's the end of the journey. That's your album.
Yes.
At the beginning of George. But talk me through Pocketful and what it's all about.
Well, as you say, it is the tribute to my parents, without a shadow of a doubt. That was kind of all it was. I mean, I came up with the chord progression and then these the lyrics of that Pocketful of Courage. Those words really sort of rang true to me, and I was just sort of thinking that it is true. I always, it's a lovely image to have, that when you put your hand in your pocket you feel the guidance that was your parents.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
Is always with you. And yeah, because they do. They have done so much for me, and there's so much that I am grateful for from them. And that I don't know if, it's, I guess what I've always perceived it as is that we are a sum of our parts, completely and truly. That all our experiences and everything, they always come into everything we do and everything we are, and particularly, obviously, because they are the people who bring us up and teach us what we know. Our parents
shape
are
our
there.
lives.
Yeah, they really do. And so yeah, that was what I wanted with. That's why I decided to write the song, and it was like Mind in its own way. It is one that I love to play. I really do love to play it, and just the smoothness of it. It was the second song we recorded, so it was again quite early on in the process. As soon as I'd written Rockfield, I knew it had to be a closing to an album. And I think a lot of that as well is the last part of the words, which I think only actually, like Yellow Shoes, actually the All Over Town She Would Sing Around actually only came a few weeks, maybe a month before the recording. I actually suddenly was like, I want to put this in. I like this.
It works so well.
It would be so much more. And then with Pocketful as well, having that only knows what the future holds, it suddenly was. It really spoke to everything that was actually happening. It was that kind of. This is just the beginning. I kept while we were doing it, and throughout the process of recording the album, it was always. This is it. This is it. This is it. But I was kind of like, this was it, but this was the beginning. This is chapter one. This is chapter one. This is going to be a long story that I cannot wait to read and unfold. And recording it was a real joy. Again, like Footprints, I wanted it to be that jazz trio feel with the double bass and drums and piano, but it was strange, really, actually, because. We decided to go with bass guitar instead, and Steve actually put a piece of foam underneath his strings, and it just to slightly mute them down at the bridge end of this bass guitar, so that when he played a note, it resonated, but not for very long, and it was quite a muted sound, which actually made it sound even more like a double bass. And playing it was so smooth and easy, and I had to decide on my feet the final arrangement, because I don't know, I couldn't choose, and then we were going through the song on that Monday, and I can just remember thinking, I've got to decide, I've got to make a decision. These guys need to know this structure before we record it. I have to do it now. And thinking on my feet, and it works perfectly. I'm so glad with the structure that it came out with. Going big, because the second verse is also with the guitar, I really wasn't thinking of guitar in that song at all, and it took Matt really going, no, just let's lay it down, and we can always take it out if necessary. And I take my hat off to him. He knows
his wise wisdom.
His wisdom on this whole album has been so fantastic to work with. He is a true joy to work with, and just the fact that he never imposes at all. He didn't change any of the arrangements. He didn't say anything. All he would do is just give advice, and in that lovely way when people give you advice and they make you feel that you've come up with it yourself.
Yeah, very clever.
Yeah, he just knows how to work. The way he works is perfect. It's tried and tested, and he's a true veteran of his craft. But with the brass, they're just wow. They brought something to that song that was that sort of soft madness sound, which is in. I'm trying to think of their songs that have it in, but there was definitely that sort of. I don't know, it's that bit in the song just after the first time I've said about just a pocket full of courage and stuff. And there's instantly, it was so magical. And with the vocals as well, the backing vocals, their harmonies, they did it as their first song as well. And
set you in good stead.
Yeah, and I'm glad that the opening track on the album is Blood Ties, so that it really it pulls you in instantly and has that, but has all the instruments in it, and then you go through all the a load of other different parts of me, and then you get Footprints, which again has everything in it, but is very different from Blood Ties, and then you keep going and you go on a real roller coaster, and you're going into Waiting Room, and then you're going into Yellow Shoes, and then you're going into The Craziness of Hamish, and then you're mellowing out with Mind, and then suddenly Pocketful just really rounds off the edges and just perfectly polishes itself into the most beautiful ending to the story of me and my music. And I'm really proud of it as a song, actually. And I don't know, there's something about it. There's a piece of footage that was recorded where it was the first time we were listening back to Pocketful with the brass on it. I think it was the morning of the backing vocals, and I'll never forget it. It was Matt just sort of turned to me and just put his hand on my shoulder.
So put your hand in your pocket.
Great track.
I think it was at that moment that I kind of realised that my music really has a place and has a way of touching people that I didn't know it could. Really touching their hearts and their souls, and not just the fact that, you know, I'd gone from this rollercoaster ride of writing for, you know, all the unrequited love and all that kind of thing, and then suddenly trying to get all these upbeat tunes, and then coming full circle and writing about actually the love, again, the bond between our loved ones, and just that feeling. I am so proud of this album, to have it as a debut album, to have been so lucky to have had such an amazing experience with it, and for it to have been truly the most easygoing yet hardworking and exciting and fun, and I can't explain it, and I'm slightly sad and already very nostalgic for going back into a studio and stuff, but I'm sad that I won't have that naivety that I had for this first album. There will never be another Have You Met George, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
It's a great thing. I am so happy that this is the first chapter, and it's, you know, where do we go from here? Only knows what the future holds. Yeah.
Well, George, I think that's been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
My
sharing it with
absolute
us.
pleasure. Thank you.
Only knows what the future holds. Only knows what the future holds. Only knows what the future holds. And only knows what the future Just a pocket full of courage. That's what your father said. Just put your hand in your pocket, son, and your mother will be there.
Working with Matt, I can honestly say I couldn't have asked for a better producer.
Surely there was one better.
No,
No.
honestly.
No.
I mean, I've only really worked with
What about
one.
the Japanese font? No.
No. The way you approach recording, the way you approach sorting everything out and keeping it so that all I had to do was come in every day and just sit at the piano and
Yes.
play with these amazing musicians.
You didn't really have to drag you in every day though.
No, you didn't have to drag me in at all. I really did not want to leave this place. It has been.
We finally dragged him out kicking and screaming
Yeah.
by his fingernails, as we say.
I can honestly say it has been those 5 days here.
One more honestly should do it, and then they know it's honest.
Yeah.
There is no favourite song I have on the album. And I think that every song had its merits and we put a lot into it. We did the core of the whole album on those 5 days. Was it?
Yeah, 5 days.
Here at Rockfield. And the overdubs and things like that were all, although they were sequenced out, they worked out really well.
Oh, they worked out brilliantly. I couldn't quite believe how much it leapt out of the speakers. And just sort of asking you, have you done anything to this? Have you done anything? It was like, pretty EQ it.
No, it's very much a
Just plug it straight in,
traditional recording.
capture it. Yeah,
It's a classic rock and roll recording, and it's down to you guys playing it. I know that sounds like slapping each other on the back, but that's exactly what it was.
yeah.
And giving you guys the freedom to enjoy it, and the Rockfield piano. The Bosendorfer made a big
Mrs. B is truly.
Mrs. B.
God.
Yes.
The 5 days we had here were by far the best days of my life. I reckon I keep saying it, and I have never worked so hard, and I have never laughed so hard.
The question I've often been asked, several times been asked, in fact somebody asked me once, was what it was like to work with George Montague. Well now, I can honestly say it was a privilege, an honour for him to work with me, but however the other way around was very difficult. And yes, working with George Montague, that was, well, it was early starts, I can tell you that. It was, we had scrambled breakfast and straight behind the piano. Mr. Hoover behind the drums before we could didn't say anything about him.
Yeah.
We had to drag Steve Amadeo out of bed
Yeah.
several times, which was highly unrewarding. But nevertheless, he made up for it. And Mr. Bond, of course, is what's known as a knucklehead.
Yeah.
But it was a blast, and the record speaks for itself, I hope. It's a very natural record. It's you, and nobody else. It's your songs, and it comes across, I think, pretty much as we want, as we hoped. Not forgetting the overdubs, of course, with girls, and our favourite brass team.
Yep.
Which we enjoyed.
Truly the icing and the cherry on top of a very delicious cake.
A few cherries were popped that week, I think.
Yeah.
I think we can say that. How long does this interview go on for, by the way?
Alright, let's cut there.
Well, in momentum of those 5 days, I've nurtured this little present for you. It's taken a few sources of milk, but here he is. This is Gertrude.
Oh, hello Gertrude.
And she hasn't actually got, that many eyes. It's very fluffy, so maybe you can look after Gertrude.
Thanks Gertrude.